Smile, John.
What?
All right, good.
We're in Studio 6A today. It's June 22nd, 2025, Sunday. And it's my pleasure and distinct honor to be speaking with a true World War II frontline infantry combat hero, Mr. John J. Jeckovich. What pictures are you looking at, Mr. Jeckovich?
Huh?
Was that your picture of you and your brother Steve?
The what?
Was those pictures of you and your brother Steve that you were looking at?
Yeah.
Was that picture of you in the service at 18 or 19?
No, I wasn't in the service then.
Was that the picture of you walking on a curb?
Yeah.
Does those look familiar to you?
Yeah. Now this is the letter I got from what's her name, huh?
To
Lape's mother.
Don Lape's mother. It's a beautiful letter she wrote to you. I read it on the air.
Huh?
I read Donald Lape's mother's letter to you on the air. It's about 2 or 3 weeks back. It was a beautiful letter.
Yeah. What's it saying, John?
Anything you want to read out loud, read.
Read it for the.
It's recording. So to be. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today's a gift. We're just
Those letters I wrote, boy, oh
We're
boy.
just watching Mr. Jeckovich. We just obtained some females that he wrote home.
80 years ago.
Females that he obtained, and he's looking through them now, the first time that he's seen them in over 80 years. It's a letter he wrote to Donald Lape's mother. Donald Lape was his combat veteran that had his head blown off, and Mr. Jeckovich wrote her a glowing letter to the parents, and that bomb was a dirty bomb, and Mr. Jeckovich still has shrapnel from that bomb in his leg right now, but he was a young boy, and Mr. Jeckovich told Donald Lape 100 times, stay low, stay low. Donald Lape wasn't street smart, he kept on looking up, and they zeroed in, they bombed him. Head came off, just his glasses were hanging on his ears, and Mr. Jeckovich is reading a letter that he sent to his family. And then his mother responded back. She called him Johnny. Johnny, Johnny, Johnny. I'm sending you a nice package of many treats. And then she sent him out a package of treats. Wonder why we call it the greatest generation of all time. Here she just lost her son. And she's thinking of others. And Mr. Jeckovich is going through these papers right now. Yes, he is. 80 years old. 80 years ago. No one ever seen him until today. So
Waterloo, New York.
what was the name of the town?
Huh?
What was the name of the town?
The what?
What was the name of the town in New York?
Waterloo, New York.
Yeah. That's where Donald Lape lived, and it's with his mother and father. Teenage boy right out of high school.
Yeah, those are the days.
Feel free to comment, Mr. Jeckovich.
Huh?
Feel free to comment on anything you're reading, Mr. Jeckovich.
What?
If you have any comments on anything you're reading, please say so. If not, that's okay too.
This is Mabel Lape.
Yeah, Mabel Lape was Donald Lape's mother. What a beautiful lady. She referred to you as Johnny.
Oh boy. Owensboro, Kentucky. Oh boy.
Will it be?
22 minutes.
Will it be?
Okay.
Let it run just like it is.
All right. 21 minutes.
If you want to comment, you'll comment. If you don't, you don't.
Stevie almost started a big shot, huh? Huh?
Is that your brother in the picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. He liked to drive that Packard. Your brother did, didn't he?
Huh?
Your brother liked to drive the Packard, didn't he?
Yeah.
Those are pretty good pictures of you. You see the windshields? The windshields are split windshields back then. Flat, split
Yeah, yeah.
windshields. Yeah. And they were just, if you broke that glass, it'd be very dangerous compared to our safety glass we got today.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be dangerous. The dashboards back then were all steel, and the windshields were split in two pieces. It was just regular glass. It wasn't safety glass.
Yeah.
When that thing broke, it'd be like a million knives coming at you. And the dash was all steel, nothing padded. And of course, no seat belts.
Slightly wounded.
Slightly wounded, yeah.
There you go.
Throw it there. So there was that very interesting.
Huh?
That was very interesting. Yeah, that was the first time those documents were seen in over 80 years. Some of them had pictures of him and his brother Steve in his car, old car. Others were a letter that his best friend Donald Lape's mother sent to him, because Mr. Jeckovich sent Mrs. Lape, Mabel Lape, a glowing letter.
You call me Johnny.
Yeah, a letter about her son's death and how it happened. It was quick. it was a quick death. And then Mabel Lake wrote a 2 or 3 page letter thanking Mr. Jeckovich. She referred to him Johnny, 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 I'm sending you on a package.
Yeah.
Even though the lady is going through tremendous miseries. That's why we call that the greatest generation of all times. She's thinking of others. They have empathy. So she put together a beautiful package and sent it out to you. What was in that package Mabel Lake sent you?
All kinds of stuff, cookies.
Did you share it with the fellow workers?
Oh, yeah.
So this is why we call it the greatest generation of all times. They're very patriotic, and they had one thing that we are missing today in many ways. They have empathy. Empathy is a glue to civilization. Empathy is a glue to humanity. That's what they had. They had great empathy. I don't see much empathy. I really don't. So, we're on chapter 7 of your book, Mr. Jeckovich. We're second time around. Would you like, and this is when you're getting on a troop ship and heading to Europe. Do you want me to read a few pages, or you want me to kind of catch up on some of these text messages?
Read a few pages.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is on chapter 7. Mr. Jeckovich is being shipped overseas to Europe. And we're on page 157. And the title of this chapter is Overseas and Beyond. As we're leaving the mess hall, Sergeant Flood got my attention, and he stated he wanted to see me in the orderly room in a few minutes. Fink winked at me and stated, "Gotcha," smiled and walked away. I walked back to the barracks to put some of my furlough equipment back in my footlocker and took a fleeting glance at a picture band I stuck in my back into my wallet and headed for the orderly room to learn of my fate. So now you just got back from furlough.
Yeah.
This is the grand finale before you go fight on the front line. You went on your furlough, you went to visit your mother and sister in Niagara Falls, New York.
Yeah.
And then the second part of your furlough, you took a bus and train and taxi cab to see your girlfriend called Ann Mahaney in Owensboro,
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
So this is all behind you now. You're putting your furlough suitcase into your locker, and now Sergeant Flood wants to see you.
Yeah.
How was Sergeant Flood?
He's a nice guy. He's a nice
Okay.
guy.
Sergeant Flood was alone in the orderly room and greeted me warmly and asked how our furlough was. I said it was great, but I did not elaborate too much on it. He understood and he came right to the point. He wanted me to do some inventory work, something similar to what I've done before. He also said it would entail only day work from 1 o'clock to 1600 hours for the next 2 weeks. Also, an overnight pass would be available, conditions permitting, if it commenced at 1700 hours. So that was a bonus. You're going to get an overnight pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't think you would have a pass anymore. I was delighted to hear the good news and told Sergeant Flood I would do a good job for him. He said I would start the next morning and that there are 5 additional men assigned to me to aid in the completing of the inventory. Sergeant Flood also stated I would be free of all other details for the duration of our time here at camp. So that's another bonus.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any other details. The word was out that I was on special assignment and not to be giving any other work detail. I thanked him, and then he commented that he almost got me a couple stripes, 3 to be exact. He was referring to the squad leader opening that Fink spoke of. I smiled and thanked him again, and then left the orderly room. I could not wait to tell Ann of our good fortune. The overnight passes, but then realized I'd have to wait until after 2100 hours in the barracks to mull over what happened since I got back. A short while later, Fink and Larson entered the barracks and asked if I wanted to join them at the PX. I commented that PX would not be open until after a retreat. They both smiled and told me to get with it. Naturally, there was no retreat and the PX was open all day. We joked about how much I missed since I was on furlough, and I had better get with it. We sat and talked about various subjects while being drowned out by the music blasting from the jukebox. I had known that Fink was also ASTP, being drafted while attending local college in Indiana, getting to ASTP, and finally being transferred here. He took it all in good spirits and was not bitter about it one single bit. He made a good squad leader, and I consider myself fortunate to be rid of Sergeant Baker and have Fink replace him. Fink was not pretentious like the majority out of the ASTP or Air Corps. He did not travel in a little clique, but he co-mingled with everyone, not showing any being partial or discrimination toward anyone particular in the group person. So Fink was a good guy?
Huh?
Fink was a good guy?
Yeah.
He was intelligent, possessed much sense, and was calm and cool under pressure. All in all, he made a good squad leader, and perhaps more if given the opportunity. It was most unfortunate that he would be one of our first fatalities when we got into combat. Isn't Fink the one that was walking down one of the streets and he got picked off by a sniper?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you were there to help him?
No.
No. He was the first one killed when he arrived in Europe. Larson was a little bit older than most of the rest of us, and I had gotten into the draft by a hairbreadth of technicality. He had 2 children and married 5 or 6 years before getting drafted. Larson was a good natural Swede who made friends easily, took everyone in his stride, and did not complain. He was a good soldier. What finally happened to Larson?
What happened to Larson?
Yeah, did he make it through the war?
No, he got out of the war. Yeah, he got discharged.
As there was
He was a jeweler.
Jeweler? Oh, okay. Wow. As there were no longer routine and pattern to our existence at camp, time was beginning to hang heavy over us. I was thankful for the work detail assigned to me, and it would afford me something to do and make the time go by more smoothly. I thought it rather ironic that I was trying to consume time here at camp. When I was with Ann, time seemed to whisk by. Yeah. It appeared that we're always fighting the clock. Yeah, you're never going to beat Father Time. You'll win every time. I spent some time in the day room writing a letter home. Were those letters called V-mails?
Yeah.
Okay. I spent the time in the day room writing a letter home, even though I had just left there a little over a week ago. Minutes, please. I did not mention our overseas.
10.
I did not mention our overseas assignment. Let's see. I did not mention our overseas assignment, and certainly did not say anything relative to Ann and me. Mother and Sally knew nothing of her existence, and I thought what a shock would present to them if I said I was to marry someone. Better left unsaid until a future date, I hope. It was now after 2100 hours and walked over to PX to call Ann and make arrangements to see her once again. When she answered the phone, I felt a sensation of delight and endearment to hear her pleasant voice again. I told her briefly what was happening here, and she asked her if I could see her in the near future. At first she did not quite understand what I was saying, but as I elaborated further, she was pleasantly pleased and delighted. I then informed her that Wednesday looked pretty definite if I did not call her that night. It meant I would meet her at the bus station around 1800 or 1830 hours. She was excited about seeing me again and stated that she missed me something terrible. We spoke for a few minutes longer, and as we concluded our conversation, she repeated that she loved and missed me, and I told her I missed her also and that I loved her very much. After breakfast the next morning, I waited around the barracks until 0930 hours and then walked over to the supply room for my work detail. There was no one there except Sergeant Henderson, the supply sergeant. How was Henderson?
He was an old guy.
Good guy?
Yeah.
We talked a while and he filled me in as to the nature of what we were going to do. It seemed the division was not leaving anything behind. Their orders were leave a broom-clean camp with all equipment, ordnance, supplies shipped out. So they don't want to leave nothing there. They want to take everything with them, right?
Yeah.
This entailed making a record of every item in camp in triplicate, and after it was crated, labeled, and shipped out. Naturally, our segment of this gigantic undertaking was limited to the supply room. The other teams would cover the rest of the camp. Sergeant Flood came in and was pleased that I was already there. Ready and eager to get started, he explained to me what my duties were and what we were assigned to do. Shortly thereafter, the rest of the detail filtered into the supply room. Their faces were unfamiliar, as they're all from headquarters company. They all appeared intelligent and motivated. I could not foresee a problem with any of them. In addition to the 5 headquarters people, I discovered there was also 5 prisoners of war detailed of their assignment. Were the prisoners of war from Germany?
Yeah.
Okay. This was also not a problem, since they all had a good grasp on the English language. We got briefly acquainted and then proceeded to our work area. It was much like our last detail, and also brought back memories of my days spent at the department store. What department store were you at?
Gretzky's.
So you did inventory there too,
Yeah.
right? Okay. The work was familiar with one exception. I was not accustomed to overseeing such a large contingent of people. The headquarters crew would make the actual recording of the log, your findings, and the POWs would do the actual work of moving equipment and putting it into large crates. Did they use POWs for a lot of things during the war?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And all of them were good guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Would do the actual work of moving equipment and putting it into large crates. My task entailed watching over the entire operation and offering assistance whenever the situation arose. The first day went smoothly, and I consider myself fortunate to have such a conscientious and dedicated work crew, including the PWs. We finished before 1600 hours and were a little bit ahead of schedule. As I returned to the barracks, showered and waited until chow. It seemed strange not to be regimented in every aspect of our lives as we've been for the previous 6 months when we first came here. It brought to mind my time at Camp Upton, and my special assignment there was waiting a shipment to Lackland. Looking back at it, seemed much a long time ago. So much had happened in the interim, but best of all, I met Ann, which opened up an entire new life for me. I could never conceive a life without her now. I wondered how I existed and for what purpose. In a way, the new life or its concept made me extremely vulnerable as I acquired new emotions, and feelings I never knew existed before. And what was even more frightening, I had someone I cared for a great deal and wanted nothing to harm her in any way. This made me vulnerable in many ways, and I only hoped that I could sustain my fortitude. Hey, how about some minutes?
What? Oh,
Minutes.
4.
We only have 4 minutes to this segment. Do you want me to ask you a couple of texts?
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna pick up on page 160 tomorrow. By the way, Mr. Jeckovich, during World War II, he was beat up, stabbed, shot in the shoulder by a sniper. He has shrapnel still in his body from a dirty bomb. What else?
Lost a hip.
Lost a hip, frostbite, trench foot. You still suffer from
Yeah,
frostbite
stupid
today.
frostbite, yeah.
80 years later. Mr. Jeckovich, as a teenage boy, he was awarded the Bronze Star Medal, the Purple Heart Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, American Campaign Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 3 Bronze Service Stars, World War II Victory Medal, Army of Occupation Medal with Germany clasp, Combat Infantry Badge, Sharpshooter Badge with carbine, pistol, machine gun bars, Marksman Badge with rifle bar, and Honorable Service lapel button from World War II. You had a pistol during the war, a carbine, and a heavy-duty machine gun.
Yeah.
Which one did you like to operate the best?
The M1,
M1.
yeah,
Was that an M1 Grand?
yeah.
I was noticing on your discharge papers, many of your papers got burned up in a fire at
Yeah,
Army headquarters in Ohio, right?
yeah.
But we did obtain your discharge papers, and it says here, when you went in, when you were drafted, you're 187 pounds.
Yeah,
How much you weigh now?
151.
You got a lot of catching up to do. And it says here you lived at, before you were drafted, at 3063 Orleans Avenue, Niagara Falls, New York. Is that correct?
Yeah,
You spent almost all your whole adult life there, right?
yeah.
Yeah. It also says here that you received a mustering out pay. For those that don't know, a mustering out pay when the war was over was pay that the soldiers received to start back their civilian life again.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much that was?
$300.
$300 mustering out pay.
$100 a month.
$300 mustering out pay, and you receive that at $100 a month for 3 months. And then also, it says here, Colonel J. Harris authorized you $21.95
Bus ride
to take
home.
a bus ride about a couple thousand miles.
Yeah,
Wow. So you had a 45 caliber pistol, right?
yeah.
I don't know, inactive what?
I was just wondering what those dates were. Inactive ERC from 15 January 44 to 4 February 44.
What?
Do you remember where you were from January 1944 to February 1944? Where were you? Were you still in the service in January 44?
Yeah, I was in the service.
Maybe that's when he got hurt, is what I'm thinking.
Okay, that's probably when you
what?
got shot, right?
That's probably when you were in the hospital.
Yeah,
Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah,
January 15th, 44 to 4 February 44.
Yeah.
You were in the hospital.
yeah.
Is that about right, John?
huh?
Would that have been about
That's
right?
right,
He
yeah.
was there for 2.5 weeks,
Okay.
recovering.
Minutes?
14 seconds.
Oh. So you had a pretty good reading today.
Yeah,
We found a lot of information
yeah.
about your past there. 80 years old, those documents been gone.